Hi guys, it's Delaney. This is my first video on Booktube. I'm a little nervous. Some of you know, watching, that I am planning a readathon called the Booktokathon because I'm on BookTok. I don't know if anybody knew that was a thing, if you stumble upon this, but BookTok is a thing. So my goal for this is for people to just read books that typically they wouldn't read on their TBR. So if you're more of a fiction reader, like a fantasy reader, maybe read some contemporary, maybe read an anthology, read some poetry, read some nonfiction, just mix it up a little. I personally have a hard time with sci-fi. I don't know why. I think that magic and fantasy and stuff like that is just so much more interesting to me, and the high stakes in fantasy. So I'm gonna try some sci-fi, but we'll get into that. The Booktokathon is going to be from August 19th to August 25th. So I know that's a little ways away, but preparing early, getting those book orders in if you want to buy books, I don't even blame you. Just get those orders in and get your TBR together. And if you need to change your TBR because you ended up reading that book because you got inspired in between when this is up to when we begin the readathon, perfect, right? Yeah. Now, this readathon has a few challenges, just like the reading rush on Booktube. Hi, I'm on Booktube. Who would have thought that I would join Booktube, right? But there are 7 challenges, just like the reading rush, but I have custom made the challenges. So I'm not robbing anybody. So let's go through the Booktokathon challenges. I'm so sorry. Challenge number 1. Read a book with 4 or more words in the title. This is kind of self-explanatory. I have you're set on my bookshelf. A little background. You're going to be set on my bookshelf for pretty much all of these videos. So be ready. That's also how it is on BookTok. My poetry shelf is right there. You already get a bookshelf tour? Ooh. And then if you see this little white thing in the corner here, that's my little shelf. I have I have a Dan and Phil, their 2 books, and then this little story time book, and then Dear My Blank, which is letters to people that you never sent, and then a little inspirational book, a mug, and a candle, because I'm just so hip. Anyways, let's get back on topic. This is pretty self-explanatory. Looking at my shelf already, I see a ton of books that I can read. There are just a few. I've read a few of these. There's The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, Anne of Green Gables, The Hate You Give, On the Come Up, What If It's Us, One of Us Is Next, Two Can Keep a Secret. It just goes on and on. So this challenge is just pull whatever you literally can off of your shelf. If it is 4 words, then you can read it. It can be fantasy, it can be mystery, it can be nonfiction, literally anything you want. So, did you favorite? Challenge number 2. Read a book from your least read genre. Now, I don't know if you want to base this off of your 2020 Goodreads challenge or your entire life. Maybe you didn't read that much middle grade as a kid. Middle grade is technically a genre. And if you want to read some middle grade, read some middle grade. And then there are also graphic novels. If you don't really read graphic novels, then buy a graphic novel. I'll put out some recommendations for graphic novels for y'all. It'll be great. I personally don't read a lot of sci-fi. I think personally I plan to read We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson, I believe the author is. And because I'm just really interested in it. And it has some topics in there, but I'm not used to sci-fi. So I'm going to get into some sci-fi. Fun, right? I'll have some recommendations for genres too. Okay, challenge number 3. Read someone else's favorite book. I know this sounds way too easy, but you would find that sometimes people's favorite book is also your favorite book. or it's a book that you've already read so many times, or it's a book that maybe you weren't that into. So you're going to have to find somebody out there that has a favorite book that you have not read before. It'll work out really well. I personally, one of my favorite books is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Chbosky? Yeah, we're going to say Stephen Chbosky. And it is a beautiful contemporary written in letters about this boy who's in his freshman year of school, and he is writing to somebody with the pen name Dear Friend, and he names himself Charlie. We don't know if that's his actual name. We don't know if the characters he names are the actual names of the characters, but there you go. That's my favorite book, and if you haven't read it before, then you're already fulfilling one of the challenges. It's a short read. You'll cry. It's amazing. I will have some trigger warnings for it, for abuse, depression, mental illness in general, just like homophobia. Yeah, pretty much that. Challenge 4. Read a book with an animal in the title. That's kind of self-explanatory. There's let me just, you like how I scan my shelves for all of it? So I have a book called The Meaning of Birds. There's Six of Crows and the Raven Boys. And if you want to read a book in a series that has an animal in the title, like the Raven Cycle, and you want to read one of the sequels to Raven Boys, then go right ahead. You're justifying it, and I appreciate that, because you're just going and doing it. And yes. Challenge number 5. Read a book that is blue. Now, I don't mean the cover. That is very important. Let me find an example on my shelf for you. I found my example. Anna K by Jenny Lee. I understand that this has a blue cover, and that might like play off well or whatever. I mean that the book itself is blue. You see that? Let me find, and if it's paperback, because I know some people prefer their paperbacks, make sure the base color is blue. Like, alright, I have my paperback example. Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. You see how the base color is blue, and like pretty much the entire book is blue? That's kind of what I mean, because I've noticed in challenges, some people can get away with doing the color challenges by like having like a sliver of a color in the cover. I can't speak English. But you get what I mean, right? So just find a blue book. It's just blue. And if you have an issue with that, it's time for those book orders, sweetie. Let's go. Challenge number 6 is read a book that was written by a person of color. I've noticed recently, because of everything that's going on in the news, that a lot of people don't have books by people of color. I never had that issue. I think because I was somebody who grew up wanting to find somebody like me. I just grew up looking for that. So I found a lot of books on the way that were people that were nothing like me, with the diversity that some kids really need in their lives. And some people just didn't have a problem with that. So their shelves, not necessarily have suffered from it, but they're a little one-shaded, little monochrome, if you ask me. So just find a book. Find a diverse book that you would have never picked up if not for this. There are many authors that I can think of off the top of my head. There's Angie Thomas on the Come Up in the Hate You Give. There is Nick Stone, Dear Martin. Jason Reynolds. I have 2 Jason Reynolds books on my poetry shelf right here. And then I have Stamped, which is one of his newer books, on audiobook that maybe I'll read, maybe I'll listen to, like, because it's only 4 hours long, and I listen on triple speed, honestly. So that'll be quick. It's a quick read, impactful, because Their stories might not be anything like yours, and you'll learn a lot, fictional or otherwise. I continue to look at my shelves looking for more. There's the author of Girls of Paper and Fire, Saba Tahir and Ember in the Ashes, Samira Ahmed, very underrated. She wrote Internment and Love, Hate, and Other Filters. I personally have only read Internment, but I have a copy of Love, Hate, and Other Filters that I do plan to read soon. And it's so amazing. You'll see so many social issues with it. And and I think it should be clarified that a person of color also includes Asian authors, Native American authors, Black authors, Pacific Island, Indigenous people. The list just goes on and on. Like if the person is not European, they're a person of color. They're a person of color, like Latin, Hispanic. You get my point, right? I'm very passionate about this, so I don't want to like make a whole video about that in this video. We'll get into it in another video. Challenge 7. Read a sequel. Now, I know that some of you out there have like 20 series that you've read the first and second book, and you have the rest of the series because you loved it so much, but you haven't gotten to it yet because you have all these standalones and all these other new series, and like people are constantly just shooting out books that you want to read, and you can't catch up. So your other series are suffering. That's me. I'm people out there. So just read a sequel. It could be the second, it could be the third, it could be the fourth, it could be the last book in a series. Just get to it. Give your time back to these characters that you love. And maybe the ones that you hate, because what if they go through a character development? What if they have a redemption arc? Yeah. Read a sequel. So those are my challenges for the Booktokathon, which will be taking place August 19th to the 25th. If anybody has any questions at all, please let me know. I will be soon compiling my TBR for this. I have a feeling I will read more than 7 books. I personally am a very fast reader, and these last few months I've been going through like 30 to 40 books a month, and that's why my shelves are now stuffed and my bank account is 0. But we're gonna try our best, and we're gonna make it happen, and I believe in all of you. If you want to post your TBRs on Book Talk or on BookTube, I will check them out. Maybe you'll give me some good recommendations, and I'll go out and make my bank account suffer more and cry with you over these books. I just hope that everybody enjoys, and I hope everybody partakes, and you just have fun together. Yay! I'll have a live on my Bookstagram at some point with just more fun and announcements. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you all just have a great day.